Hello everyone, and welcome to the InDesigner, the podcast that offers information, instruction, and insight to users of Adobe InDesign. I'm your host, Michael Murphy, and this is episode 14. It's a mixed assortment of features this time around, as I share with everyone the answer to a specific question a listener asked me via email. I get a lot of one-on-one questions from listeners that I always reply to, and it only makes sense to share that information so that everyone can benefit from it. So let's jump right in and tackle this question, which comes from Sharon, a listener in Illinois who is a freehand user and is now working in InDesign. Sharon says, there was an align to page function that freehand had that I cannot find in InDesign. When I place a graphic in the center of the page, I draw another box the size of the page, select both the page box and the graphic box, then go to the Align palette and click the two center icons. I'm sure I'm making this much harder than it has to be. The short answer is that there is no built-in way of doing this in InDesign, but it can be done. I'll start with the most basic method, then work my way up. Option 1 is the simplest, but also the most limited. I'm going to quickly place an image on this page that I'm going to want to be perfectly centered. Using the Direct Selection tool, I select the image first and cut it from the page. Then I go to View, Fit Page in Window, which is Command 0 on the Mac or Control 0 on the PC. Then I paste the image back on the page, and you'll notice that the center points on my image are all perfectly in line with the center guides that I've already set up on the page. By default, InDesign mathematically centers anything you paste directly in the center of the page when your view is set to Fit Page in Window. Option 2 requires a couple of more steps, but it will also teach you another great and little-known feature that I originally mentioned in episode 2, which is that InDesign will do math for you. This method also gives you more control if, for example, you wanted to center the image only vertically or only horizontally. I'm going to move this image to a position anywhere but centered on the page, and with it still selected, I go up to the proxy image in the top left corner of the control palette and make sure that the reference point for the graphic frame is at the center, not any of the corners or the sides. I will now center this image by having InDesign perform some math for me in the X and Y coordinate fields. For my X horizontal position, I type 11/2, which InDesign understands as 11 divided by 2. For Y, my vertical position, I type 8.5/2, which InDesign understands as 8.5 divided by 2. My two math operations have been replaced by their result in each field, in this case 5.5 and 4.25, and those values have centered the image perfectly on the page as you see. If I wanted to align to the top of the page, I would select the top reference point of the proxy image and then enter 0 in the Y coordinate field, and the graphic jumps to the top. This is a good way to do quick numeric alignments based on what you know about your page's dimensions and by letting InDesign do the math for you. And it doesn't just work with division. You can also use addition, subtraction, and multiplication in any of the numeric fields in the control palette and in dialog boxes. And any form of numeric value, inches, points, picas, millimeters, is fair game. To recenter this image using multiplication, I would select the center reference point, and in the Y coordinate field, I would enter 8.5 asterisk for multiplied by 0.5 and get the same result. If you're an Illustrator user, you're probably familiar with the proxy image from the Transform palette in that application. It's the perfect way to make sure that the application is making your changes from the appropriate reference point. For instance, if you have a transformation tool, such as the Scale tool, and an object selected, you'll notice that the reference point for the object on your page will match the reference point in the proxy image. If you change the reference point on the proxy image, it also changes the reference point on the object itself. Option 3 is probably the best and most flexible one, which is to use a script that's specifically written to do this. I wasn't aware of the existence of this script when I first answered Sharon's question, but now that I am, I'm sharing it with all of you. InDesign ships with a script called Align to Page that's created to perform this exact function. Unfortunately, most of you may not realize you already have it, since scripts are not included as part of the InDesign installation. You have to do it yourself from one of the installer disks. Here, from the Adobe website, is the information about where to find these scripts. By the way, the typos are all theirs, too. For InDesign CS2 installed as a standalone application, sample scripts are located in the Adobe Technical Info InDesign CS2 scripting folder on the InDesign CS2 CD-ROM. For InDesign CS2 installed as part of the Creative Suite, sample scripts are also located in the Adobe Technical Information InDesign CS2 scripting folder on the Resources and Extras CD-ROM. I've included the URL here too if you want to check out the page for yourself. Installing scripts is a simple matter of dragging them from the CD into the Scripts folder within the Presets folder within the Adobe InDesign CS2 folder on your hard drive. You don't even have to quit or relaunch the application to be able to start using them. With my free scripts already installed, I go to the Window menu, select Automation, Scripts, and open the Scripts palette. We're going to be looking at the Align to Page script. When running an object-related script affecting graphic frames or shapes, you need to have the object selected. If it's a text-related script, you need to have either the text or text frame selected, depending on the function of the script. I'm going to move this object so that, again, it's anywhere but centered on the page, and with both the object and Align to Page script selected, go to the Flyout menu in the palette and choose Run Script to see the Align to Page options dialog. These options allow you to control placement vertically or horizontally. On each axis, you can position an object centered. At the bottom left, apply a value of none on either axis, position it at the bottom right, and so on. But we're going to center it on both and click OK. And once again, the object is centered on the page, as we can see here. I'm now going to quickly adjust the layout's margins by setting the top margin to 1 and the left margin to 2 inches and clicking OK. If I shift this page over, you can see that I now have this asymmetrical margin in relation to the page edges. So even though my object is centered on the page, it's not centered within my margins. If I go back to run the Align to Page script, but this time check Consider Page Margins, when I center horizontally and vertically, the frame gets centered relative to the page margins, not to its edges. Alright, let's review what we've covered here. We started out with a simple alignment question. Answering that led us to performing math operations in the control palette and dialog boxes, and then to understanding the use of the proxy image and reference points when working with objects, and finally to installing and running scripts. Clearly, there are no simple questions when it comes to InDesign. Pursuing one solution often leads to the unexpected discovery of additional possibilities and ways of working, and that's what this podcast is all about. We've got a revolutionary new tool with InDesign, and for me, besides its powerhouse performance as a software package, these discoveries are part of what makes working with it such an enjoyable experience, and it's what I'm trying to share with all of you. You should note in the script palette that you've got a lot more things in there besides Align to Page, so you should play around with them and see what they can do. Just a reminder that the InDesigner website is always there for you. You can either post comments at www.theindesigner.com, send me an email at info@theindesigner.com, or look for me on iChat or AIM as the InDesigner. Next week, it's Now You See It, Then You Didn't, some video examples of things I mentioned in audio episodes, but didn't get to properly demonstrate since I hadn't yet mastered the video presentation. So if you're still scratching your head about things I discussed in episodes 1 through 10, you'll get a chance to see actual examples next week. Until then, install your scripts, explore your options, and expand your knowledge. This is Michael Murphy for the InDesigner Video Podcast. Thanks for watching.